On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, I talk with Tom Clouser about what it's like to lose your job during this crisis and what he's doing to prepare for next. Hey there, and welcome to a brand new edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I'm your host, Kirby Hasseman, and joining me today is a promotional products industry professional and an industry veteran, if you will, Tom Clouser. Thanks so much for joining me, Tom. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm honored and thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. Now, you and I have known each other for a little bit, and, this has been a tough time. Obviously, right? That's the elephant in the room for many people. And like a lot of people in the industry, in the promotional products industry, you were one of the people who lost a job through no fault of your own. So I'm curious real quickly, number one, I guess I would say thank you for being willing to chat about this in a public forum. Appreciate that. But how did you deal with that? And how are you preparing for your next opportunity?
Well, first and foremost, the main reason why I'm excited to talk about this is, whether this sounds weird or not, is I feel comfort in knowing that I'm not the only person going through this.
Right.
Like, we're all going through this together. So it's so great to be able to talk to some of my industry peeps and just kind of vent and brainstorm. But when it all went down, it was, so many emotions going through my mind, stress, frustration, anxiety. Do I look outside the industry for a job? That has entered my mind too. But, 23 years in this business, this is all I know. I tell people all the time, it's a cult. Once you're in it, you can't get out, so it's been a rough road, but like I said, it's comforting to know that I have people in the same boat, that we can talk and we can just kind of, talk about what's going on in our lives and get back to this. What I'm doing as far as, trying to, get the new gig is I'm just trying to stay in front of my industry people, webinars. PPAI and our industry associations are doing all this education, which is awesome. Just trying to stay connected and attend as many webinars as I can to, just trying to be involved. I'm still serving on the Papa board. I'm still serving on the RAC board. So that kind of helps me and gives me inspiration and kind of gives me that collaboration with the industry.
No, that's fair. So during the downtime, I'm curious, I've been asking a lot of people this, what have you been doing to use the time? Have you been working on any new skills, or are you just like, dude, I'm focused on getting a new gig? Which are you?
Both.
Yeah. Fair.
The getting the new gig is kind of, it is what it is. We just got to wait this thing out. But I'm trying to work on my I attended some webinars. I'm not going to mention any names, but Mr. Hasseman presented, and just trying to build my social media experience and just trying to work on my video skills and just preparing myself so when this thing does pass, I'm better for it.
Yeah.
So and then personally, I'm just, doing same things people are doing now. I'm just doing home projects and, but just trying to better myself with all these webinars. And there's so much content out there now that we can all benefit from, just to make us better people, better professionals, so we can go forward.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I have noticed your sort of increase in engagement, and I've seen you on these webinars and all that sort of thing. And so kudos to that, because I think it's very easy to put your head in the sand and be frustrated. And I think a little bit of that is natural, right? Like there should be a mourning period when something bad like this goes down. But then that needs to end, and clearly it has for you, and you've put yourself out there, and I've certainly noticed it. So well done by you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So final question for you. So many of us, and I've certainly, this is true of me, is we have our identity sort of tied to our employment. So have you struggled with that in the transition? And what tips would you give others going through a similar challenge?
Yeah, you have no job, you have no identity. This has been my life for 23 years. I was known as a person, as a supplier going into talk to distributors, and I was the fun guy. I was the guy that made our industry fun. I try to, this is a fun industry. If you can't have fun in this industry, go do something else. I mean, so so now what do I do? It's just, I would encourage people just to stay connected. Talk to others that are going through this. I'm planning on bringing, like when I was, a supplier rep, I had my Tom's Thumbs Up Thursday, where every Thursday I would do just a little presentation on my favorite product of the week. So I'm bringing that back, even though I'm unemployed. I'm bringing it back because it's just that way to interact and engage. But yeah, I mean, no job, no identity. So we got to be creative and figure out ways to build our identity back, bring it back.
Yeah, I like that idea of sort of staying connected with people and commiserating, empathy, empathizing, whatever that is. And then I love the idea of creating a piece of content. I think that's a super interesting brand. I mean, obviously, right? It's what I'm doing. It's a brand building exercise. So I think that's
what we do. I mean, we brand other people, so we need to do things to brand ourselves.
Yeah, cool. I mean, well, I appreciate you sort of your willingness to be candid in this conversation, and you've answered my 3 questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one. Do you have one for me?
Well, I do, but it's a kind of a 2-parter.
Sure.
So the question is, the distributors, suppliers, are doing these webinars. Distributors are doing them for their end users, and suppliers are doing them for their distributors. And so my question is, are you learning? Are you finding them effective? Are you learning anything from them? Mm-hmm. And do you think that once this thing passes and we're back to quote unquote the norm, is it going to be a piece of the salesperson toolbox going forward? Is this going to be part of not going out and, as a supplier rep, not going out and visiting, 20 people a week. Maybe you visit 10 people a week, and maybe you do 10 webinars.
Yeah, no. So great questions. And super timely. So number one, I think that the answer is the same as what I would give you with sales calls. Sometimes they're very effective. Sometimes they're not as effective. I mean, that's the same if we were doing it face to face. I actually do think it's going to be a long-term piece of the toolbox, but with the caveat that it's almost like an additional tool that wasn't being used in the past. I think a face-to-face meeting is still going to be the number one tool in the toolbox for a salesperson. It's just, being face-to-face, there's just value in that. But I think like a Zoom call, Uber conference, Skype, whatever tool you want to use, I think that's the thing right below it, because it really does. And then maybe phone, then email, then text, whatever it is. I think that just being able to see people's face, there is so much value in understanding from a face if the joke landed, right? Like, or if they're nodding along like they get it. Yeah. You can't get that in other forms. So I don't think it replaces face to face, but for somebody like me, we live in Coshocton, Ohio, you got to want to come here, right? And so I think that people who are building sales trips will still come see us. But if you're coming from St. Louis or New York or whatever, and we have people like that, if you want to schedule a 45-minute call with us and we can put you on the screen, I think that's super smart and a good use of your time. So, excellent. Yeah, I definitely think it's here to stay. So, cool. Great question.
That's good to know. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll do it again sometime, okay?
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Kirby.
All right, buddy. That's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.